What's happening, everybody? Mike's Total Dragon Channel, and I wanted to talk about the Image book Local Man. This was a book that I was reading when it was a monthly book, and I kind of fell out of it. And over the weekend, I picked up the first trade paperback and gave it a reread. And I gotta say, this is one of the books that, it's kind of a weird phenomenon that some books read better in trade paperback format, at least in my opinion. And Local Man is one of those. It's a book that I enjoyed when I was picking it up monthly, but it kind of, it just didn't hit the same as it does when you're reading it in trade. So I went and picked up the trade over the weekend, and I really, really enjoyed it. And enjoyed it so much that I wanted to. I'm really looking forward to picking up the other two trades. There's only 3 trades in total, so there's only 2 more I need to pick up. But if you're unfamiliar with it, Tim Seeley is the writer, and Tony, I want to say this is pronounced Fleeces, the guy who has also done work on Feral, the other Image comic book Feral, and also on the Boom book Uncanny Valley, is on art. But the gist of it is, this guy right here, he, in the 90s, he was a member of a superhero team in the Image universe, and he has since then been kicked out of it. He got kicked out of that team and sent back home. So now he's back living in this small Wisconsin town where everyone basically kind of hates him because he was like their claim to fame. And a lot of the town was built up around this character whose superhero's name is Crossjack. And he was Crossjack because he was from that town. The superhero team that he was in had built a training facility there and a superhero headquarters. So it was really bringing some prestige to this small Midwestern town. And then when Crossjack got kicked out of it, pretty much all that stuff went bye-bye. So now the people in the town have not welcomed Jack back with open arms, to say the least. So he is back living at home, living with his mom and dad, and various circumstances arise, and he kind of has to get back into the role of being a superhero. Now, one of the fun things about this book is you get to see, let me see if I can find a section of it here. Spliced in with the story, you have these flashbacks to when he, Crossjack that is, that's who this guy is. You have flashbacks to it when he was back in the superhero team that he was in. And it's really, when they have these flashbacks, it's very much drawn and presented in the style of the early Image comic books. The books like Brigade, what's the other one? Bloodstrike, New Men, that type of thing. So you have that kind of, you have the regular artwork, which is a very slice of life, boring style artwork. Here's the police at his house, no costume, no special super vehicle, no headquarters or anything. And then you have, when they have the flashbacks, the big 90s style Image art. And one of the fun things about this book is Crossjack, was a superhero for this group, 4th Gen, and that superhero group was around at like the very start of the Image universe. So Crossjack makes references to teams like Cyberforce, Brigade, Bloodstrike, or whatever. But it is a really good, it's a good book. It's a homage to 90s superhero comics, and it's also kind of a look at, like, you know, when your star ends, when your 15 minutes of fame ends, and you have to come back home, and all of a sudden all your celebrity and your star power is gone, and you're back being a place that you tried to, you know, you're back in a place you tried your best to get away from, and you have to come back home, and you know, you're all of a sudden you're back living with your parents. You're back eating at the local shitty diner, you know, and you're trying to make the most of it. But Tim Seeley really captures that feel. So I really recommend it. It's a book that kind of flew under the radar a little bit. And it's one that I was reading initially, then bounced out of, and now I'm coming back towards it. I want to say it's only 13 or 14 issues. It's got a couple of one-shots and specials tied into it, so it kind of pads it out a little bit more than just those 13 issues. But if you see it, give it a shot. I really dig it. If you're a fan of 90s comics, it might hit a little bit harder, but even still, if you're a fan of that whole, you know, something that's kind of along the lines of that phrase, you know, you can't go back home again, this is something that, you know, might grab your attention. But if you check it out, I'm sure they're going to be doing a hardcover collected edition at some point, because with this only 13 or 14 issues, you know, it definitely fits that. You could definitely have a hardcover, and it'll have all the ongoing and the one-shots and tied into. But I think this book came out maybe last year sometime, so it's relatively new. You might be able to find it at your local comic book shop, but I really dug it, and I recommend it. So if you see it, give it a shot. I hope you like it. We'll talk to you guys later. Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.